Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's episode on mental health and work-life balance. I have seen last two few years these two issues have become very prominent in the professional life as well as the personal life. But generally in the professional life, because work-life balance gets imbalanced because of the professional demands. So today we have with us Dr. Amitabh Kumar. You people have seen him and met him earlier also, and Madhura Bagchi and Jasprit.
So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the CenTRA Podcast. I'm Dr. Amitabh Kumar, Executive and Leadership Coach, and I'm truly delighted to host today's conversation because this is very close to my heart and very much related to what I work on. Let me begin with a story from my own coaching journey. A few years ago, I was coaching a very successful senior leader, executive leader. On paper, he had everything: a global role, a high performing team, and strong recognition in the organization. By every traditional metrics, he was a success. But during one of our coaching conversation that we had, he paused and said something that stayed with me. Amitabh, I'm winning professionally, but I feel like I'm losing personally. So he wasn't talking about capability, he was talking about exhaustion, right? So during the journey uh, of emails late at night, global calls across time zones, always connected, always responsive, and somewhere along the way he realized he had optimized his calendar, but not his well being. That moment made me notice a pattern across many leaders I coach. High performers rarely struggle because of lack of capability. They struggle because they lack recovery, the pause. Research confirms this. As per WHO, burnout is now recognized as an occupational phenomenon. Gallup research says nearly 60% of employees experience daily workplace stress. Harvard Business Review estimates burnout cost organizations over 300 billion annually. But here is a paradox. Research from Oxford University Said Business School shows that happy employees are up to 20% more productive, which means mental well being is not the opposite of performance. It is the foundation of performance. And that brings us to the question we explored today. Is your hustle costing you your health? So let me introduce, we have three panelists here: Dr. Sunita Handa Khurana, a respected academic and institutional leader who brings deep insights into how educational and institutional ecosystems can foster mental resilience. Then we have Jasprit Kaur, an IM alumnus, a seasoned learning and development professional who works at the intersection of performance, leadership capability, and sustainable productivity. And we have Madhura Bagchi, a human capital expert who focuses on emotional well being, people development, and the human side of organizational transformation. So let us start with, I'll try to, if you all are okay, let me start this discussion uh, with a question to Madhura. Uh, so, hi Madhura. Uh, could you explain a little bit about what early signals indicate that a high performer is approaching burnout, even if they are still delivering results?
Firstly, good morning, and thank you so much for inviting me to this very valuable conversation that I think we all need to have. And at the outset, I completely agree with you. In one word, I'll call it hyperconnectivity. Burnout rarely announces itself with failure, it hides behind achievement. The signals are subtle: fatigue that doesn't go away with rest, irritability that replaces empathy, creativity that feels like it's running on fumes, when sleep becomes negotiation instead of restoration, and when engagement turns into mechanical delivery. Those are the whispers before the collapse. So high performers don't lose capability, they lose recovery. That's how I would like to give my answer to start with.
Hmm. Any one of you would like to add what Madhura said?
Mhm. Jasprit?
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, this topic is like we can talk on this for like hours and days, and it is happening with each one of us, maybe in a bigger amount or smaller amount. So the early signs which I see in my organization is, less engagement. So people
Mm,
are performing, but they are not able to, engage with people. They are not able to make bond with other people. They must be giving results, but inside something is happening, which, as Madhura mentioned, that later comes out in a very bad shape. And if we realize all this on an early stage, then it can be taken care very easily, but later it becomes hard. And sleep, as Madhura mentioned, I completely agree. Because nowadays we talk about, healthy diet, exercise, but sleep is the thing which we really don't talk about because we binge watch Netflix and we are overloaded with work. We bring the work at home, doing late nights, but sleep is affecting us like smoking does. So I read an article a few days back that it is as bad as smoking. So yes, I think if you are having sleepless nights and you're not able to gel up with people very easily, you are getting irritated so easily on small things. So these are the early signs which really comes out not for the corporate people, for the children also, I'll say I've seen.
mm,
Uh,
thank
Amitabh, in
you.
addition, I would say, the early signs also include attention span. Okay,
Mm, mm,
very slow and short.
mm,
Irritability.
mm,
Okay,
mm,
people generally get very hyper. I know it's like a short fuse immediately going off. On top of that, efficiency goes down, your
mm,
productivity goes down, your
mm,
output goes down. So one may be working all the time, but the output is not there. These are the signs, when things start going haywire. These are the early signs. I mean, the immediate result and chaos may happen after some time, but absent-mindedness, not only attention span, so, but even whatever is there, one may have to repeat a sentence couple of times for that to register in the mind of the person who can be categorized as starting point of the burnout phase. So I think these
mm,
are the things we need to take care.
mm, mm. Thank you, Madhura, for highlighting the point of hyperconnectivity. Just need to highlight about the sleep quality at the same time, ma'am, for highlighting about the performance uh, going down and the initial signs of being irritable or something like that. So this brings a question in my mind, and I would like to, put it to Jasprit. Why was well-being historically been separated from performance conversation in the organization?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. As you know, most of the corporate environments they focus on performance conversations, and that target basically the numbers, the
Mm,
targets, the productivity, revenue, ROI kitna aega, delivery timelines. So managers or the leaders were trained to manage the outcomes. So
mm,
they are
mm,
not trained to focus behind, the energy it brings. The
mm,
outcomes are bringing from which energy. So well-being was often seen as a personal matter, so rather than the business discussion. So they see that,
mm,
performance as objective and well-being as subjective. So I remember a manager having discussion with me. See, Jasprit, जब तक मुझे results मिल रहे हैं, I believe that everything is okay. So I sat with him and said that, see, if on papers the team look outstanding, they are achieving the targets, even they are able to meet the deadlines also. But, over the time, you will see that people will start leaving because the results were strong, but the energy behind was not stable or sustainable. So,
Mm,
what happens that burnout rarely shows up immediate effects in performance metrics, I will say, but
mm,
later on it shows that
mm,
in decision fatigue and in disengagement, or in, I'll say that, declining the creativity, as Dr. Handa mentioned, and
mm,
eventually they leave the organization that cause attrition. So from
mm,
business lens, you can't separate performance and mental well-being if you're looking for a long-term results and outcome. So we need to build the infrastructure that support it. But nowadays, I'll say that organizations have started working on it. They have started taking the small shifts that, leaders now do the energy check-ins with their teams, rather only talking about the performance. And there are many organizations, they have 24/7 counseling services also. So they are focusing on emotional connection with their people, and they are supporting with the, many stress management programs also. But earlier, I believe that the leaders or the managers didn't have that framework to support this, such kind of conversations, or to focus on the well-being of the employees. They were just focusing on the number. But nowadays, it is clearly understood that you can't just focus on the performance, and you can't, ignore, you can ignore the well-being of employees, because this too comes along. And nowadays,
mm,
we have many AI tools also which predict the moods of your employees, their emotional health also. So now there are many, I'll say, assistants and frameworks which managers or leaders can use. Earlier, it was not. So I think that was the reason they separated this two. But now these two are taking, shape together. They are working in hand in hand. They are focusing on the numbers, and at the same time, they are also focusing on the well-being of the employees.
mm. So good thing is that there is a shift now,
Yes,
and
yes,
then there is a progress happening, right?
yes.
Thank you
Uh,
for this update. Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yes. Mm,
Yeah, I mean, what I feel is that, when we talk about well-being, the problem is of the employees. The problem is that almost everyone is working under pressure. Even the leader is working under pressure.
mm.
Manager is working under the pressure. Okay, so it
True.
is not just people down the line who are under pressure. Everyone is under pressure. So emotional resilience has to, we also have to develop emotional resilience on our own too. I mean, we cannot put all the burden on the organization, because organization has to survive to give the employment. Isn't
True.
so there, as say the word is work-life balance. So my personal, and I'm talking from the observation and experience, that 8 hours is a very long working day if we actually put in that many hours, to be very frank. 8 hours, one can literally move mountain if we actually sit and work that much. There is so much of a distraction, which itself takes the mental toll. For example, social media, internet, etc. Even when we are working, you see people driving, they are looking at the mobile. Whatever we are doing, our one hand keeps on moving to the mobile. That also caused loss of wastage of time. So, and that also caused loss of mental stress, which in any case goes into the work. Then we start blaming whatever is in front of us, which of course is either our office or our family. So it's not something which is only because of the work. There are many things which are creating pressure. But as I said, that everyone in the hierarchy has to be in tune to bring the work to the level where people are able to cope. But as I firmly believe, and I'm generally into a contrarian view, that companies and organizations have to survive to give the employment. Is that if they only
Mm,
get into the caregiver job, or even predominantly caregiver job, they may have to close the shop. And that will create much more havoc than providing. But as Jasprit said, now organizations are doing and are preparing for counseling and coaching services, which are provided. Even now, it is being provided by big companies on in-house and on-house. So that is there.
mm, mm. Thank you for adding the development. Madhura, you would like to add something here? I saw your
Yes,
hand.
I have a hot take.
Okay.
This is something that everybody disagrees, but I completely swear by. I think I'm thankful to the Gen Zs, because
Mm-hmm.
they are the ones who are normalizing boundaries. They are questioning this whole sense of, overwork culture, which we glorified. And they are the ones who are now questioning so straight on the face that, we are pushed to a corner and we are being asked the questions that should have been asked long back. So, that whole pushing yourself to the level where you understand that every yes is coming at the cost of a couple of no's. And the moment you start thinking of this trade off and you start becoming friends with it, I think so much of work life balance can come in anyway. So while people keep arguing about Gen Zs, I am absolutely thankful to them because I feel like it's because of them today we are pushing ourselves to the corner and saying, hey, you know what? Let's not, glorify this. Let's talk about it. So, yeah, that's what I just wanted to add.
Oh, thank you
Amitabh,
to
I
for.
just want to respond. Just give me
Mm,
1 minute for that. I
okay.
think it's a
Okay.
very good thing,
Mm,
whatever is happening, because
mm,
we need to learn to cope with the situation. Having said that, whatever Gen Z, Z or Z, whatever it is
mm,
good that it is right there in the front. But what we
mm,
forget is that when we are copying every concept and every movement from the West, what
mm,
we forget is that we are not at the level of development where those countries are. We must check what the situation was there when they were at our level of development. Okay,
mm,
what kind of
mm,
work culture? That doesn't mean we need to reinvent the wheel, but some kind of balance is required. I mean, a couple of months back, I was reading somebody's talking about boundaries, what Madhura said, boundaries, and the advice was because on social media, we always give lots of advice and wisdom. So the person was talking about you must draw your boundary, you must point it out before the you take up the job. So I was like, first, let him get the job. Jobs are scarce. Okay, if you start drawing boundaries before even getting the job, that person will not get the job. The person without boundaries will get the job. There's so much of a competition in the market. For every job, there are people chasing, not in hundreds, not in thousands, but in lakhs. And that is also the reason, over competitiveness, over ambition, and that is what is pushing hard work and performance. And I personally believe young people have the capacity to put in the hard work. I'm not saying you put in 70 hours of work. As far as I'm concerned, I always had a very good work life balance. Come to office in time, leave office in time. Okay, even my bosses knew that after this particular time, she's not going to be there. If they need me, they have to tell me in advance. That has always been my practice. Having said that, there was full attention to the work, and I still maintain 8 hours is a very long working day, and 1 or 2 hours here and there added, but the same time always talking about work life balance, because we have grown up in a very delicate the next generation, not we, because we are the ones who came out of that deprived state. Our children are not in that state, and that is what is causing so. But I think there should be a balance between the two. When we talk about hard work or not hard work, I'm all for hard work. And I believe young people can afford to put in that hard work. They have the body, they have the spirit, they have the strength to do it. So, I mean, there is a time for everything. We are not at the state of development. We can start dictating terms. Let us reach that level. We get that kind of a time. That is, I'm a firm believer in that. I mean, young generation may not agree. Even at this age, I do lots of hard work. That is the
mhm,
reality.
mhm.
Can I
Okay.
just
Thank
come
you.
in there just for 1 second? I'm not at all, I'm also not against hard work. All I'm saying is, when we were in the early stages of our career, we didn't have the, uh, you know, permission to ourselves to, sometimes say, you know what, I'm exhausted. I'm not being able to pay attention now. Can I do this tomorrow? Can we
Mm,
negotiate? But just that today, when I see my team members coming up and tell me that, ma'am, I'm just so exhausted. Can I do this tomorrow? Will this be okay? And that whole conversation to say, like, hey, you know what? It's okay. We'll still be able to reach the goal. That's that confidence.
mm.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing all the diverse points. I mean, I overall, what we agree on is, yes, we understood. Now, organization is understanding that yes, there could be exhaustion, there is a need of mental well-being as well as the goal that we target to achieve. And as Dr. Sunita also has pointed out, there is a need of balance. Yes, hard work is also necessary to reach a goal, but at the same time, we can certainly include the well-being as well, as the organizations have all recognized. And as you have pointed out, Madhura, that Gen Z is already setting the boundaries for the same. So so in this case, sorry. So after summarizing this, I would like to put a question to Dr. Khurana, that what role should institutions play in preparing individuals to manage pressure and emotional resilience before they enter the workforce? How they should prepare themselves?
I think everyone who was or is in the life of young generation, or whosoever is to join the workforce, from the
Mm-hmm.
childhood, teachers, family, everyone has to play a role.
Mm-hmm.
My own assessment is that now, because of, and there are multiple factors for that. Small families, one child, problem of insecurity. We are so
Mm-hmm.
protective about our children, but which I think is also hampering their growth. There's so much of a pampering that emotional strength and physical strength is not there. Going to gym may build up the muscles, but that doesn't mean that physical strength is there. Emotionally, we are weak. Next generation. I mean, you think about it when I keep on narrating, when I was in class two, maybe coming from a small town, situation was not, law and order was not bad. Okay, with the neighborhood children, we could easily hold each other hand and go to the school. In present times, even the class 10 student, Papa goes to drop at the bus stop and Papa carries the bag. That is most of the time. So that is the way the life has changed. So expecting them and then we expect them to perform beyond their capacity because the capacity was never built in western countries. We copy all this concept. You see the way they bring up their children, their physical strength, they make them go to the school at a young age, but then security should not may not be that much there. They also make them get into the sports to have strong legs. This one my daughter was telling in Germany, they ensure that you are running, you are jogging, you are into some sport or the other. And then emotional resilience, you look at, I mean, our children, they, I think particularly the expanding middle class, I don't think they have ever experienced sense of deprivation. There is
So,
instant gratification, so that loss, that emotional strength to wait for the satisfaction and gratification, that is not there. So I think these are the things we as a parents, as well as the teachers, as well as the school curriculum, everyone has to contribute to make them realize that one has to work to get something. It doesn't come automatically. We are over ambitious, not just ambitious, and we also want the results immediately, and that is why we are emotionally weak. So everyone, it's not only the institutions, the families have to contribute a lot. I mean, imagine a scolding from the teacher and the parents को आपने मेरे बच्चे को ये कह दिया, isn't it? So where will they get the emotional strength? They also have to learn because the world out is not like our parents who are going to pamper us. So we are not preparing the generation for the world outside. And that is why there is so much of a turmoil, mental as well as physical. So somewhere we have to prepare them. That one child norm, That has created more insecurity. Parents have become much more protective about the child, and there is more pampering because there is more available for the child. The sense of care and share is not there. So, people, I think, somewhere, or everyone in the hierarchy, everyone in the society, schools, institutions, training, sports, everyone has to work to build that character where emotional as well as physical strength is dwelt to take on the world when we enter it in the professional life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, Jasprit, from the corporate point of view, what practical workplace strategies help employees disconnect without guilt?
See, I always believe that the main cause of this burnout, which the topic we are discussing today, is multitasking. And I'll say
Mm.
this not doesn't only, affect the our corporate sectors, it affect our
Mm.
daily life also. So
Mm.
now men, women, both, especially women, so they are always into multitasking, and that brings the more chaos in your life. So the
Mm.
first thing, I really want to get adapted by the corporate sectors or even by at ma'am said that it's a joint collaboration at work at workplace, sorry, at home, at workplace, and even at this institution, school, colleges, that to prevent this mental spillover, the first thing should be done that we all know that it's 80-20 framework, so you should know that what 20% is really important for you today, or as I mentioned to my son every day, that present, be present in the present moment and just focus there. So yesterday we were traveling somewhere, so he was like, what next, now what we are doing? I said, just relax, take a deep breath and enjoy this moment where we are right now. We'll go to the next thing, but just live this first. So this is the main thing. It's very simple thing and it's very hard to practice to be in the present moment. But it will take away, I think, 70 or 80% of the chaos and the burnout we are talking about. For workplaces, I'll request all the leaders and all the managers to just, not create always that urgency thing that this is also urgent and this is also urgent. So we should understand that this is actually urgent. So
Mm.
rather creating urgency for all the tasks, we should focus on that. I was talking about 80-20. So we should know that this 20% of work needs to be done today, or it's really important for this moment, so that the team also focus on that and should can give the best results, the best creativity to that. I remember that Google has started this very long back that 20% of free time they give to their employees for their passion projects. So they just go and sit in the room and they do whatever they find creative, whatever they want to do. And the best of the projects of Google came out of that 20% of free time. So Gmail is one of the results of that, and Google Maps, which we are, we can't think of now getting out of that. So Google Map is one of the results of that free time. So when we give them a window of, doing something which is not just sitting on the desk and doing that monotonous work, so they come up with creative ideas. So that's the one thing I'll say, that, let them focus on the actual urgent things, or rather giving them the multitasking things, and always give them some time for the innovation. See, as Google is coming up with so many good ideas, as I mentioned, Google Maps and all. And I think let's individual also understand what time management is. It's a very old topic, but still it's not being practiced by many of us. So I see people are hustling, as Dr. Sunita mentioned, that you go office on time and you come back on time, so it saves so much of things. It save from you from the traffic, and you go office in the morning, so you are full with creativity, ideas and energy. So such small little things really help. So one thing I'll try to emphasize on is time management. So as a leader, they are there to support, but as individual, we should focus on time management, what we are doing with our time in office and workplace and at our home even. And the other thing which we all are suffering nowadays is, digital cognitive overload. So there is so much of information flow with the digital or Insta or anything. I'll not mention any app. So we need to set the clear boundaries, the digital boundaries also. So I think this few things will create the clarity circle for all of us and will help us to get out of this chaos or the burnout we are facing on in our daily life.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you for sharing a couple of very important points how to do the well time management basically, and then you can use several tools like you've
Yeah.
given the Pareto tool 2080, and at the same time you can use either tools as well. I think it's available in the in the practice. And you've also mentioned about uh, how Dr. Sunita mentioned about hard work, but within exact time frame of 10, whatever time frame that she has set for the job. So she has set the boundary of the timeline. At the same time, she's also been mentioning about how the hard work pays at the same in between that. And she has also highlighted about how 8 hours is a too long time, and in between pauses are important. So, and Jasprit very well said the point of how creativity emerges. You know, creativity emerges out of chaos, not in the chaos. So when you go out of the chaos and then there is a pause and then there is a break, then your brain starts working for the creativity, and you need the environment of psychological safety at the time, right, to have be more creative. So thank you for sharing very valuable points. Mudra, you'd like to add something uh, around this?
Absolutely. I'm absolutely in agreement with everything Jaspreet said. And in fact, what Dr. Sunita said is actually boundary, right? When she talked about,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
start at this time. I personally, believe definitely that people who take regular breaks outperform others. I personally use something called a Pomodoro technique, which is a very common technique where I do focused work for 25 minutes and take a 5-minute break. I do it without fail, and
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
also extremely committed to my circadian rhythm. So what I also do is I map all my work according to my energy levels, and I actually make sure that my team also understands that. In fact, in my time management sessions, I do an extensive exercise on letting people map their circadian rhythm, because I think once
Hmm.
you understand the science of it, your management of work becomes so much easier. And with that, if you can infuse things like Pomodoro technique, etc., you can actually find the gold mine of knowing how to balance and make everything possible within those 8 hours, like Dr. Sunita said.
Hmm.
I
Very well
will
said.
just clarify something. See,
Mhm, mhm,
when I say 8 hours, I say it's a very long working day to finish
mhm,
the work if we
mhm,
actually work. And I also, and that is how I led my life. I'm talking from experience, something I always practice. That if you
mhm,
actually work, and I was never in the habit of sitting late, just as
mhm,
a matter of routine. But if there is something urgent, if there is something that is required to be done, everybody does it. You know, I have been in government. There have been times when the parliament is in session, start question. I have been in office till 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock, but not as
mhm,
a matter of routine. And that gives
mhm,
healthy work-life balance. You can take care of the home, you can take care of your family, you have free time. And then second, the rather not second, I would say the most important component for having a good work-life balance is discipline. If one is
mhm,
disciplined, life is so easy. Disciplined and organized. I have plenty of time. I have never told anybody that I'm too busy to do anything. I always say I may be lazy, but never say that it's because I don't have time. I have plenty of time because I may be a little too regimented, too disciplined. I'm not asking people to be exactly like that, but if we have a discipline, and morning people are generally much more efficient than those who are afternoon people and the night people. That is the
mhm,
way my framework of having great work life balance is. And I believe that at least has worked for me. So maybe others can also try.
mhm, mhm. Thank you again. Very nicely put. Discipline, yes. Some points have come from Madhura also. that finding your energy level during the day and plan your work, high intensity work at the time of high energy level, or low intensity work at the lower energy level time. So these are different ways that you can find out how you can balance, how you can, plan your day, and at the same time how you can manage your time well. Dr. Sunita has mentioned about how within the time, through the discipline, you can achieve that. So very well pointed, and great to hear all of you and your points. It's certainly a great learning. Uh, so, Madhura, my next question is to you. What leadership behavior unintentionally create burnout in teams?
So I'll build up a little bit on what Jasprit said, actually. I'll borrow from there.
Okay. Okay.
See, leaders often underestimate how their behaviors ripple through teams. A constant urgency culture makes every task feel like a crisis. Lack
Hmm.
of clarity on priorities leaves people sprinting without direction. And these days, reward systems that glorify overwork sends the message that exhaustion equals excellence, which I'm absolutely against.
Hmm.
Micromanagement, another one, which erodes autonomy. And without autonomy, energy drains faster. So burnout is not born from incompetence, is what I believe. It's born from environments where recovery is seen as weakness. So I think we all need to have a mindset shift. Leadership must shift from extracting energy to protecting it and endorse it. And the more we understand that, I feel that productivity, wellness, all these things that we are right now trying to solve as separate pieces of puzzle can very well come together. That
Hmm.
would be my
Very,
answer.
very well put. I mean, you mentioned about yes, while leaders basically inspires as well as leaders drives the energy through the organization, right? And when they create the environment of psychological safety through not doing micromanagement, it helps them, right? And they feel less burdened. uh, uh, am I able to read it correct, right? Very nice,
That's
thank
right.
you. Thank you. So, my next question goes to Dr. Khurana. How can organizations move from reactive wellness programs to proactive wellness programs or well-being culture, kind of?
Actually, if you look around, most of the organizations are already into it.
Okay.
Okay,
How?
most of the big organizations, those who can afford and those who have deep pockets, because
Okay.
their objective is also not now to increase the profit but maximize the profit. But
Hmm.
those
Hmm.
who don't have deep pockets, a small organization, there this these issues may be aggravated. I've heard people who are working in Google's, as Jasprit was saying, they have 101 convenience over there. There is a play area. There are multiple cafe, different kind of cuisine is available. Somebody was telling me you can get your clothes also dry cleaned over there. You can get a taxi service the Google provides. So basically that everything is available within the office complex. The issue at the background, and everybody knows is they don't want people to go home. They want them
Hmm.
there 24 hours working. Where there's a 20%, as she said, 20% of the free time, they still do something. Isn't it? Because that is the environment. Is so, and most of the big organization where work is really, really stressful, they do provide, as I said earlier, coaching as well as counseling. They have their on their payrolls or they have outsourced these services. If any employee is feeling burnout, then they do it. So as of now, they are already proactive, but and most of the middle sized organizations also they also help. But as I said, generally, when we talk about the emotional intelligence, it is not only the emotional intelligence and resilience of the employees, the self-awareness of the leader should also be there. Most of the
Hmm.
leaders don't know how they act and react. For example, I will just give an example. I'm a very impatient person, to be very frank, and I know it. So when I hand over work, I used to hand over work to somebody. So I will ask, okay, how much time you will take? The person will say, a ganta. So I will say, okay, I will ask you after 1.5 hours. The reason is I know my nature. That if I commit to 1 hour, after 1 hour, I will become a pain in his or her neck. So half an hour or 45 minutes extra I give from my side so that I don't become a pain in the neck. So that is the level of self-awareness because I know my nature, where the problems can happen. And micromanagement, sometimes it becomes necessary. Otherwise, I believe generally, if leaders also have work, they don't have time to micromanage their juniors. Every leader, every boss wants somebody who can give the food totally ready to eat. And they don't have to contribute anything. That is generally I have seen in the workspace. And that is why they like to keep the efficient and brilliant and those who do complete work, those employees with them. So, emotional intelligence of the leadership, self awareness, high level of self awareness. Because all, if I keep on saying, maybe math, I am doing fine, everybody else is wrong. So, then obviously there is a conflict and there is a problem. And organization, there should be training not only about the employees, and there should be training of the leader which is already there. Most every organization does it. And I think trainers also have a huge role to play.
Mhm. Jasprit, you would like to add
Huge,
something?
huge role. The way, whatever is there in that trend, we just follow that.
Okay.
I
Mm,
prefer to have a realistic approach, even if it is a contrary to the present scenario and circumstances. It may
mm,
be very unpopular, but I believe in doing what is effective and what is actually going to be used. I cannot train people, all the young people expect empathy, 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 and then they go and join, and then they find there's no empathy. No organization can function without empathy. But if this
mm,
is going to be the number one requirement, then I'm sure people will have problem in life, as well as mental health and work-life balance. So expectations should be toned down.
mm, mm,
That is one thing. The moment we have start having huge expectation, disappointments are there. If the disappointments are there, that will automatically result in too much of anxiety as well as mental health. Because all of us believe that I deserve better. There's no one who will say I don't deserve better. Everyone believes that they are being underpaid. Everyone believes. And I'm saying, when I say everyone, it is almost everyone. You ask the leaders, they will also say that I brought so much of billions of dollars, but I am getting only millions. So everyone has an issue. So maybe we need to tone down. Organization already having set up those organizations who don't have the money and they can't afford these kind of services. Then maybe other organization, government can step in. Government can set up free counseling services in the hospitals, or some subsidy can be provided to the organization. I have seen in India the government does whatever they is done in the Western countries without doing what the government over there are doing. So we copy without paying the organization, and that is why there is a huge gap. So there are issues, but those organizations which have the money, they are doing. Many organizations don't do it because they believe that okay, employees can be exploited where this person can be. There are no jobs outside. So some in the balance has to be. I mean, when we say we have all kinds of rules, regulation, laws in place, it's the implementation which is required. And wherever it is not possible for the organization to provide, government should step in and provide the services, free services, so that people don't lose their mental health and they are good. In this regard, I believe women are the worst sufferer more than the men.
mhm.
But women are also emotionally strong, so they can sustain the pressure.
Thank you for sharing such a great point and highlighting that okay, the culture, well-being culture can probably be different at the bigger organization and the smaller organization because of several reasons, because of their budgets, their targets, and their functioning. Bigger organization can afford it. smaller organization where they cannot afford it, yes, you've mentioned about government should step in, support system should be there. Thank you for sharing such great points. Jasprit, you'd like to add something? You've raised your hand. Yes.
Yeah. So, we spend 9 hours, like I spend 9 hours in my office. So it's a big
Mm-hmm.
time of my day. I sometimes feel that I'm coming home and just sleeping, nothing else. I'm contributing much to my home, sometimes I feel. So I believe that, we should make our workplaces such a better places. And that doesn't cost you money also, because we human beings love to, feel heard. So that
Mm-hmm.
basic thing doesn't cost you anything. So if leaders and if peers, come in the support of each other, and they just give them a platform there where they can come and just say whatever they want to say. And the biggest thing I feel, the big gap in the organization, is giving feedbacks. So managers, leaders, they doesn't know how to give feedback. They just random say anything, or rather they, gossip behind the back of yours. So they should learn, as Dr. Sunita also mentioned, that it becomes a role of trainers also to bring such frameworks and such interventions program, that they learn how to give feedback. We talk about sandwich method, that they should know that, first talk about the good things about that person, and then you give the constructive feedback, rather giving the typical feedback that you're not doing this good or that good. You frame your sentences in a way that the person feel motivated, or they understand, rather pinpointing personal points, you just pinpoint on there how they can perform better. So I just want to mention that if you really make your workplace a safe place where anybody can come and talk about whatever they want to feel, because you see a person as a whole person. You can't just say, "Ki, okay, just pick, come, perform, and go." So I come as a whole, whatever happening in my home. Maybe I had some issues at my home, or my mental health is not okay, or I'm facing some issues with my physical health. So you need to see the patterns in the employee. You can't just say you come and perform and I don't care about any other thing. So we need to understand that when we say that we are as a family. I heard this term in many organizations, we are a family. So we should actually create a safe space where we can talk, where we
Mm-hmm.
can feel heard. So that doesn't cost you money also, and that create wonders.
Very nicely put. Thank you. That even smaller organization can create psychological safety, can understand the person, people working for them as people, as human. As you mentioned very well, that okay, the person is always a whole person, whether he works at home, whether he goes at home and at works at the workplace. So understanding them well, providing a kind of environment where one feels heard, and that space of acceptance, space of comfort, and a space for psychological safer environment, right? So very nicely put all these points. Thank you. Madhura, you wanted to add something?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Great, great. So with this, Jasprit, I would like to ask you on the next question to you itself. Um, what could be the measures like for the organization? Uh, how can they uh, measure the impact of well-being initiatives?
Okay. So I believe that it should be a mix of, quantitative and qualitative measure, or the patterns I said. So I will
Hmm.
again emphasize that what I said earlier, that we need to focus on the pattern.
Okay.
If you focus
Hmm.
on the patterns, whether it is of quantitative data, or if you see a pattern in a person, so that speaks a lot. So we
Hmm.
need to look little deeper. We need to look at the pattern, like how, how frequent a person is absent in the office, how much
Hmm.
he is engaged into the daily activities of her own KRAs, or other than that also. How, good he or she is with the teams, how many conflicts they face. So when we see all this, we are able to clearly see the rising stress level, if there is any. So the measurements cannot always be, rely on the surveys. You need to see the qualitative signals that gives you the real impact, the team energy. the collaboration patterns, as I mentioned, and the openness in the conversation. So I have seen people who have so many ideas, but they are not putting up in the meetings because they are
Hmm.
already so much drained or burnout. So I would summarize into three matrix, which I usually feel that gives you a simple indicators, and that you can measure the shift of a person. The first is, I think, is energy metric, that
Hmm.
uh, how energetic a person is into their work, into the other engagements. And the
Hmm.
second one is behavioral indicators. As I said, that how much absent he is into the daily life. Because if you love your office, if you love your work, you will take less leaves. I,
Hmm.
I I don't want to push it, but yeah, I love going to my office. So I rarely take leaves when it is really important. I'm going outside with my family. I have some other work, then only. I just don't go to office that money nahi karta hai wahan jaane ka. That doesn't happen with me. And the third is performance. That is really important, as we focus on the well-being, but performance is also important. The three metrics I'll mention, that the energy and how the behavior indicators, how you're behaving with others, how good you are in your office, how many absence you are you're taking, how many leaves you're taking in a week or a month. And the third one, and the most important one, is how your performance is going. So are you able to, meet your KRAs, your deadlines or not? Because these all small metrics tells you a lot about a person, and you can measure that, how they were before the interventions and how they are now after the interventions. And again, I will say that, as we say that, baat karne se baat banti hai. So if you talk with people, whether it can be your team member or your peer or your subordinate, आधी बातें वहीं खत्म हो जाती, so if you talk and try to resolve and understand and sit that what they are actually facing, are they overburdened or something is bothering them from their family or their personal life, so things get resolved very quickly.
Hmm. Hmm. Mudra, Jasprit was pointing out baat se baat banti hai, and then she has also pointed out how to talk with the people, how to create an environment where they feel safe. So the question comes: what role does psychological safety play in sustainable high-performing team? Because Jasprit was also telling, as the team is, as we create such kind of environment, we can also measure the success through the performance as well, right? So, what are your thoughts about psychological safety playing a role in sustainable high performance?
Absolutely true. Psychological safety is the invisible infrastructure of performance. It
Hmm.
allows innovation to flourish because people aren't afraid to fail. And that's a very important space for people to have. It
Hmm.
reduces defensive energy and channels effort into collaboration instead of self preservation. Again, that's a huge tool that can solve a lot of issues which relates to being overworked or stressed. Teams without safety spend energy surviving. Teams with safety spend energy in creating. So the ROI isn't just retention, it's resilience, creativity, and trust. And that happens from what she said, baat banne se baat bante hai. I'm very bad in Hindi, so sorry if I've gone wrong there. In the long run, psychological safety is the currency that sustains high performance. And I'd like to shift from ROI, the technical terms, and say it in a metaphor. Work is sunlight, rest is water, relationships are the soil. Without all three,
Hmm.
nothing thrives.
I
Very
love
nice.
that,
Thank
Madhura.
Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. So, our audience are listening for almost an hour. Thank you so much. Let me ask you also. This is a question to all the audience for listening. When was the last time you intentionally paused to protect your own mental energy? Please reflect upon this question. This is the question for all of you. When was the last time you intentionally paused to protect your own mental energy?
I never
Okay.
did.
You've
Maybe
always.
because I have all my efforts were always in keeping things in balance, to be very frank. As I said, I never extended my office hours, but when I was in office, I was more than 100% there. Okay. Second, my family, I never neglected. I will just narrate one short, small incident. Once it was around 5:30, I was closing my desk, etc., and getting out of the room with bag in my hand. My boss PM came, and my was very very nice person, nothing wrong with it. And at that time, I was looking after this in addition to the other work, de-addiction centers that government funds. So he called me. So I went to him with the bag in my hand. He looked at me. He said, working in the de-addiction and leaving so early. I said, it's not early. I'm leaving in time. I came in time. So then he said, then I said, I don't want to work for others, de-addiction, to find later that my own children are addicted because I was never there.
Hmm.
I
Very nice.
still remember this statement. So keep everything in balance, be disciplined. Never take things for granted. I mean, don't expect favors, but at the same time, work to the best of your ability. That serves. I never had issue. That is something I said, that I never say I don't have time. If I don't want to go and I say I'm lazy, because I have plenty and plenty of time, because I am organized and disciplined. I'm not asking everybody to be like that, but some part of discipline and organization make life very very easy,
Hmm.
very
Hmm.
easy. Do your
Hmm.
work properly, do the hard work, be disciplined. It sort out 90% of the problem, if not 100%. Try it sometime, you will be have a happy life.
Thank you. Very nice. The Jasprit and Madhura, you'd like to add one more
Yeah,
line before
yes.
we close the session?
As you said that we need to, learn to take pause or when last time we take. So in 2026, I started one thing that I promised myself two things that I'll make my mornings little slow. So I was always rushing, as ma'am said that I also had the habit of reaching office on time. But then I saw that, I have so much of chaos going in my head and I started, having anxiety also. So one day I just sat and wrote that what is happening with me and I promised myself कि जसप्रीत now you'll have slow mornings. आधा घंटा late office जाएंगे चलेगा. So, that helped me in such a beautiful way that I have a calmer mind. I have better, I'll say, mood swings rather I was having earlier. So that small little habit of having slow morning, taking pauses in between, having time for deep breaths and doing some yoga asana. Earlier also I was doing exercise, but that was also so quick and rushy that I didn't feel that, I'm doing something for my head. So that small pauses in the morning. And the other thing is the art of saying no without insulting anyone. So today also I had so much on my plate. I reached yesterday night at 2 p.m. and I had five, six things to do today. But then at the night, I chose that, what I really want to do, and I'll choose only one or two because it's Sunday and I already had Friday and Saturday so hectic. So I choose the two things and I messaged everyone that I'm not available today very politely. And that, gave me so much sense of relaxation. I was able to sleep better and I don't want to rush every day and every time. Sometimes we need to, but the small pauses, as Madhura mentioned, that Pomodoro, that also really helped me also when I started studying back. So the small things really help, and we need to choose. As I said, 80-20, so we need to choose our 20 every day. Thank you.
You perform mentioning a point. Yes, Madhura.
Madhura, you
Uh,
are on mute.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I would just like to say that if you remember one thing from me today, let it be this, that balance is not a luxury. It's a strategy. And just like the other techniques I talked about, Pomodoro technique and my circadian rhythm, I'm also committed to my sleeping schedule because I think that makes a huge difference. That's also part of discipline. So think about it. What
Exactly.
if
Absolutely.
yeah. So think about it. What if the true meaning of measure of success was not the hours you worked, but energy you sustained? So, I would say start with one ritual. one pause, one walk, one boundary that restores rhythm daily. Because small deposits eventually compound into resilience. That's how I would like to conclude.
Thank you. Uh, Audience, if you are listening to all these prominent, all the three prominent and experienced thought leaders and well-being experts, uh, I hope you have also got lots of thought in your mind. And if you would like to mention in your comment, please comment there. Please mention your thought, and we'll certainly like to hear and listen to you or read your comments. With this, we are reaching to the end of the session. So, if there is one insight from today's discussion,
One question,
yes,
Amitabh,
ma'am.
just 1 second. Somebody has
Mm,
posted a question.
okay.
Sometimes company culture doesn't allow you to be disciplined. What to do
Hmm.
in that situation?
Okay. Anybody wants to take this?
So I would, because I
Yeah.
work in a startup situation, like a scale up organization. So therefore, this is always a fight. But I always tell my people that that's exactly where you need to make sure that any time management tool that you're using has to be agile. So most people go wrong with time management tools which are static. This is how
Hmm.
I've designed my day. This is how it will happen. But if you're in a very high energy, high dynamic kind of a situation, then that doesn't work. So you have to have that space for agile. So 80-20, yes. Now that 20 remains constant, but out of the 80 comes your agility. And
Hmm.
you have to consciously have that buffer. Sunita ji also said that. So, so that buffer, if you are very committed to that buffer, then this can be solved to a large extent.
But
Nice.
generally, when we make the schedule, that buffer is always kept because anybody can ask you and disturb your schedule. So that's why I
Hmm.
say for every hour, keep 10-15 minutes separate where you can do
Absolutely.
any sudden work that comes in. So life becomes a little easy. So, anyway, Amitabh, you do your finishing and before we thank you. You have done a wonderful job.
Thank you. So, one insight that I'm getting from the today's discussion is sustainable success requires sustainable well-being. That's the major point. At the same time, a couple of great learnings from all three speakers. Uh, but the organization that will thrive in the future will optimize for something deeper, which is the human energy. That's a great learning in today. And innovation doesn't come from exhausted minds. Uh, Leadership does not come from burnout. Great organizations are built by people who have the energy to think, create, and lead, and that comes with the psychological safety. So perhaps the real question we should ask is not how much more can we do, but rather how well can we sustain the energy to do meaningful work. Thank you, our incredible panelists, and everyone joining us today. And remember, your hustle should build your life, not consume it. Thank you so much for that thought.